Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, June 28th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread, starting our day off with today with our 7 of Cups, Pentacles, 7 of Cups in its upright. I am not surprised to see this card today because, again, we finished up yesterday with a lot of that transformation energy. What happens at the completion of a cycle where we start to feel those manifestation goals coming to bear? A lot of the energy right now is recognizing that their manifestations are coming through because they're focusing on new manifestation goals. That's that moment that we often feel like that point because, again, that inevitability, a lot of that energy is almost like that sense, I want to say that surprise energy that we saw. A lot of this is almost feeling like that ability to look back and see how far one has come. So even in this modality right now, this could be a day that has a lot of concentration in terms of deciding or focusing on where one wants to invest your time, effort, and energy at this time. I will say one of the things we often have to be a little bit conscientious of whenever we see the 7 of Cups is navigating anything that may feel like it's overwhelming, right? That amplification of choice. When we navigate it from a place of not having our intention guiding us, that's when it can start to feel a little bit more debilitating. But you'll recall and you'll remember that for a lot of the energy that's been moving forward in this way, being able to manifest, being able to prioritize and focus on one's manifestation goals, that is helping the energy maintain that point of focus and direction. But even here we see that ability of feeling that expression of how one should proceed, even for the energy right now across all of the frequencies, it allows for a lot of selectivity. Masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender right now, but what do you feel most aligned to? A lot of this work has to do with that grounding of manifestation. A lot of that energy was effectively, again, the work of the energy within the divine union is almost sharing their manifestation with others, being able to express it, being able to amplify it. And in that way, it feels very positive. It feels very abundant because when you give someone else your manifestation goal, how they choose to receive it, that is their own choice. So we see even now, like that ability of putting something forward and waiting or being patient in terms of recognizing how it is energetically received. There is that degree of patience here. We've articulated on how a lot of the energy right now within the divine union, they're allowing that sense of stability to effectively create that ability to be patient in something because of the energy right now in the divine union isn't moving forward from a point of observing the reactivity that is occurring around them as they do so. Rather, it is reaffirming their own energetic commitment in terms of how they are proceeding. While for and that you can see how that work can almost feel like a little bit of that wait and see, if you will. Because there's that moment again when you do that like it's like you have to kind of like, I want to say again, abandon the energetic outcome. But we're seeing even now that a lot of that energy is feeling that sense of positivity in that, because that is that moment that is one that is amplifying upon curiosity, upon excitement, because there's that sense of, again, what could potentially be possible. And this is a lot of that expansion energy that we are observing. While for masculine and feminine, and I will say though that there is some of this energy here that has to deal with some of that volatility as well. But you see even now that ability to experience that in this full breath, that is what is kind of creating that sense of, again, reaffirming the energetic commitment of the energy that is moving forward in this way. Because that is that moment that, again, it's not just the fact that the energy within the divine union is feeling that sense of what is existing between them, but they're almost seeing how what that exists between them is impacting the world around them. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is moving into the divine union frequency, this is a lot of this like veil lifted type of energy, because if these are spaces and places wherein, again, You are moving forward. You're making a new energetic connection. You found that energetic connection wherein, again, you've been able to articulate and share manifestation goals. And you feel that clarity. You feel that understanding that exists between you. What's beautiful about these energetic frequencies here is the fact that while there may not necessarily even be a tangible commitment that's been brought forth, the ability to articulate and to move towards one another, prioritizing clarity and consistency. That is the energy that, again, almost articulated via V, letting go of the energetic outcome by sharing their manifestation goal with another, their commitment to wanting to build something with another instead of around someone. That is now creating that expansion point because not only is that expansion point occurring in the ability of feeling the comparative difference between what you have with someone that acts as a counterpoint to what may have potentially come before, but it's further building in to that sense of care, to that sense of compassion, to that sense of love, because these are the energies that are not just building with one another, they're healing their past simply by being in the experience and presence of another that is creating the clarity through which they can see the past through a different optic, thereby allowing the internal healing of the self. And we see even now that a lot of that feeling is, again, a bit of that joyousness, because while that may feel overwhelming, it feels overwhelmingly positive, as it were, because this is the energy that's now thinking and feeling the robust amount of possibilities that open up to one another once you navigate or you get over the hurdle of not needing to wonder what is happening between you. Right? If you're not spending all of your energy struggling to try to identify what is happening between you and another, then it opens the horizon of possibility as to what you can do together. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the energy that is going forward and discovering new possibilities. Because if these are energies in separation, as we said, that are focusing and maintaining and holding their manifestation goal as the priority point, and these are energies that we see potentially even had to saw the start of some new energetic connection, but did not recognize and identify the ability of the potential counterpart to be able to articulate upon a manifestation goal in the same way of the self. This is not the energy that is sticking around and waiting for the manifestation goal to appear where one is not. This is not the energy that is deliberating and wondering why one isn't making itself present. This is the energy that is not internalizing an external problem, rather observing that it is the case and moving almost like as the energy of a seeker to be able to find the energy that is in alignment with them that shares those same manifestation goals. So even now we see that feeling of the abundance of possibility is opening right now because there's a lot of energy that effectively is, again, back in that modality of trying to see what is out there in order to discover the energy that feels like it is in alignment with them. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here the 3 of Wands in its upright. So communication, clarification, this energy is of excitement. I got to say, there's a lot of energetic excitement here because this is the energy that is utilizing that manifestation goal in separation by utilizing as the power of observation. So we see even now that there will be a lot of energy in new separation, that is in separation, that is exploring new energetic connections, identifying the possibilities, expanding upon a lot of these new, a lot of this new energy here in terms of identifying, articulating, forging new energetic connections. This could be a lot of introduction energy. This could be a lot of planning energy. So I'm getting here almost a lot of small talk, if you will, a lot of this, but again, what's beautiful about this is the energy that is maintaining their own energetic focus throughout that journey, right? They're holding firm in that capacity because this is the energy that is not trying to put something where it is not, but rather trying to see if something is there. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the perception change. This is the perception shift that is occurring via V connection with the counterpart. that is almost creating that ability to see everything that's come before through a different lens, seeing things from a different optics. Again, this is, like I told you, a lot of that energy right now, almost like climbing through the cloud break to be able to see the landscape above. So for a lot of that energy, that feels almost like that breath of fresh air, because this is energy that is effectively seeing something from a different perspective simply by being in connection with an energy that doesn't create a sense of trying to identify what a connection is that creates that cloudiness. This is the energy that the clarification that is being received. That's like the clarity that happens in the present, but then adds clarity to everything that happened before. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, this is a lot of that stillness on the water, like having that sense of impact, if you will, in terms of something that you're bringing forward to energy around the divine union frequency. But is this energy coming into that same state of reactivity? Is that energy like letting themselves be affected by that? No. This is the energy that is effectively holding with their intentionality and their focus. Because this is the energy that, again, is recognizing and identifying that what is occurring right now is energy coming into a point of receptivity in terms of something that they have inhabited for quite some time that is now being energetically shared with others. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here the 6 of Swords in its upright. I told you there's a little bit of that bittersweet energy here today. It's unavoidable. Because we saw even now that a lot of the energy is just coming into that point of acceptance, especially if there's a lot of changes that are occurring. A lot of those changes are changes not just within the self, but in the energy that is surrounding the divine union frequency. Because even here, we see that that process of moving forward is also a process of letting go. Because what we effectively identified, and we even saw this, for some of the energy right now in the divine union, feeling that shift that is happening by bringing forward a manifestation goal that is happening between you and sharing it with others. For some of that energy, that is a moment of celebration. For some of the energy in divine union, there are a few spaces and places where the joyousness that something is being delivered isn't being received in the same context. So whenever we have those moments when something we bring forth to someone isn't met with the same elation, it creates a point of potential separation, because that is that modality of experience of seeing something or seeing someone that doesn't feel like they're sharing your same frequency in relationality to something that is occurring around you. So even here, this is why some of this energy may feel a little, I want to say, sweet bitter, if you will, because that is the energy that is almost seeing some of that, that change, recognizing that that is occurring, but also it's not changing their direction, right? It's not moving them away from what they're doing. It's almost just one that is something that is being observed. So for a lot of that energy right now within the divine union, having that point or power of perception and how something around you is being taken by the end, like something that you're trying to share from a point of joy by those around you, that is like a lot of the energy that, again, is almost holding into that path of wisdom, because this isn't energy that is trying to like stop someone from moving away from someone in that capacity. But again, that hope that time is on one side and that time can try to heal something, that is almost that moment of almost letting something go for the hope that it might return in a better way. While for masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that is coming into divine union, this experience is one that feels like the sense of closure. Why is there a little bit of sadness right now for energy that feels like they're having that expansive moment? They're seeing the possibilities that are opening between them and the present counterpart. Because that is the energy that can almost hear the quiet door closing behind them, and recognizing that closure on past experiences is occurring. Because if all of that abundance is being brought forth now in a connection, that connectivity point, like again, this is why when we move forward on our healing journey, it is sweet bitter, because that isn't the energy that is just saying the past did not matter, the past did not have any care towards it. The energy is almost feeling again that departure point as they move towards someone with this energy of positivity and commitment, that point of recognizing the grief that you might hold and what you might have hoped or expected of the past. This is that letting go process that is occurring. So even here, what's beautiful is for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, this is a shared experience. Especially if this is energy that is articulating, particularly even now, on the past experiences that they had hoped that something like that might occur. That is like almost the energy of saying, I'm glad it's you. I'm glad that that connection point is occurring. But you can hold different modalities, right? You can hold the sadness from the past while also being very much connected to the present. So this is what that energy is doing, because what this energy has been going through has been that heart opening. And we go through a heart opening, it doesn't mean that the heart only feels one thing. It means that when the heart expands, the sense of joy and grief often, as long as they expand together, then you're in a good place. So this is almost the energy that is feeling a little bit of that stretch as you were. But they're holding space for one another as they do so. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the energy that is having that experience in separation. Because if this is energy that has been moving through experiences, and even now they're moving or departing away from a situation or scenario wherein they hope to receive a manifestation goal from someone, and they did not receive it, and that is becoming the catalyst through which to effectively just immediately move forward. The perception that the energy is having in seeing and recognizing how they are moving has changed. Seeing the change in the self, that is what is creating the heart opening, because that is that moment that feels like there's a breakthrough point, because this is the energy in separation that is observing that their manifestation is taking an impact. It is having an effect. It's having an effect on the self. It starts from within. So if this is the energy that feels the changes and recognizes the process through which you're perceiving something has adjusted, this is the energy that's almost looking back to the past and saying, I can't go back there because I'm no longer the person I was. I'm no longer making the choices that I did. So even here, that's why we feel like that heart expansion is happening, because that almost feels like a moment of mutual celebration and grief, right? Celebration for the present self and grief in the past version of self that you hold space for, but you also let go. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here, look who showed up again. This is the card we started our read off with yesterday. We've got the World card, because that is the expansive point. This is the energy right now in separation that is staying very grounded in the present moment. I see a lot of that energy, right? Saying this is what's real. This is what is now. I am here, as it were. Because this is the energy that in changing how one moves, one feels, one comes back into one's own body, because that ability to perceive, not to be reactive, but to be observant, even of the choices that you're making. A lot of that energy is feeling again, I told you, this is that anchoring of the Capricorn moon. They're grounding into the self. Right? This isn't energy that feels like they're lost, right? Because this isn't energy that's chasing after someone if something isn't present, saying, hey, no, it has to be you. No, it's got to be in there. This is the energy saying it's within me. The manifestation goal is within me. I am seeking the energy that will align with me with that manifestation goal. And so that's the energy saying, I can't ever be truly lost, because the map exists within me. So we see even now that a lot of the energy in separation is working through some of that heart expansion by grounding very firmly in the present, right? And a lot of that is that feeling of becoming or feeling energetically complete. So for a lot of the energy that's in that modality right now, that ability of feeling secure and complete in the self, that is the energy that almost feels that expectation or anticipation point, because this isn't the energy that is moving towards a counterpart from a need perspective, saying, I need something from you. You've got something I want. This is the energy saying, I feel complete and I'm looking for someone to share that joy with, to share that abundance with. I'm not looking for someone to change my energetic frequency. I'm looking for someone I can expand that frequency with. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, that ability of feeling that expansion point, feeling that joy that you create between one another. This is the energy. I told you, if these are energies that had those manifestation goals, that had that point of alignment, had that space between, that they shared, this is the energy that feels like that whole is expanding and they're starting to come into alignment. Because even now, if this is energy that was holding on to the past too tightly, but at the process of meeting a counterpart, that clarity is coming through, that ability to see something in a different way. This is the energy that is feeling that profound shift that is occurring. Because this is the energy that, again, if this was energy that thought that they left their manifestation goal in the past, and now they're having that breakthrough in the present, this is the energy that's almost feeling that beautiful, delightful surprise and looking at someone and saying, I think it's you. I think that you are the one. I think that you are the one, but not you are the one, meaning you are the one, the only one. That's the energy that says, this is the work of the energy, recognizing that the work of the self has brought them into alignment with the work of the counterpart. And this is the energy that feels like they're facilitating doing that work together. And so being able to do that work together, even here we see that this is the energy that is healing in the process, because it's allowing that ability to let go, like release the past. And I have to even say now, this isn't energy that is letting go of all of that pain. This is the energy that is feeling an ability to hold space for that even as they proceed forward, because that is the amplification of the grief and the joy, the dual parts of the whole. And this is the energy that feels like their ability to expand and heal in that capacity is one that they are mutually creating together. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in the divine union frequency, if these are spaces and places wherein the energy is articulating and sharing their manifestation goals to those around them, this is why there's a little bit of that open palm energy here. Because this is that energy that recognizes that when you bring something forth, it's not your duty or job to try to convince someone of what it is, that's effectively up to them. And even now, if there's energy that's trying to amplify their joy and someone's taking it personally, if someone's being hurt or afraid or upset by something that is being brought forth from a place of joy, this is the energy that's not trying to match that frequency. This is the energy that is navigating and saying that person is holding something too personally. They're taking something that is happening, they're overly internalizing something that is happening around them. And that's why we see even now, like a lot of that energy coming into divine union is trying to navigate those spaces and places by almost allowing someone to have their feelings, while also having that patience and hope that with time, their own journey will effectively bring them back into a place that they could kind of share that same amplification of joy. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is Five of Wands. So it Wands, and it's upright, because this is the energy that feels to a certain extent that is what they're fighting for, right? It's not easy. It's not easy. Like, look at this. It's not easy being non-reactive. It's not easy. It's not easy to navigate something that is internally upsetting, but to make the amplified choice in terms of how one is receiving it. So what do we even see that this energy is doing? This energy is fighting. This energy is fighting determinedly. But this energy is fighting determinedly by taking anything that feels like it's energetically hostile and returning it with love. This is the energy that's doing that beautiful jujitsu of taking something that comes towards them from a place of volatility and just putting that compassion towards it, putting that care towards it, putting that sense of love towards it, because that is effectively the energy within the divine union that is giving. Like, that is the energy of giving love. Like, it doesn't say, like, it doesn't grab it and say, you'll take my love or else. Like, you have to like this. Like, this is the energy that says, like, that is the expression point. So even in that ability, even if it's hard to let someone go in that modality, there's that hope that they'll recognize that their own volatility, their own pain, their own aggression is one that is directed towards the self. So we see even now, like, a lot of that sense of appreciation is almost that kindness or that gentleness that the energy within the divine union is having towards anything that feels like it's becoming reactive or aggressive in terms of being able to try to share something. That is almost like, again, that sense of like saying, like, that is the directive desire of the energy that just wants to express and expand upon the love that they're experiencing and wanting to share with those around them. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union, for the energy that is coming into divine union right now, one of the things that we're effectively seeing is that ability of seeing the conflict of the past through different optics, that ability of recognizing and identifying something in a way that you couldn't before. This is the energy that is effectively feeling like they've stepped out of the fray. This is the energy that we're effectively seeing is effectively that point of recognizing that they're like that identification point, effectively. That is the recognition of the energy that is seeing the conflict from the past with a different perception. And even here, this isn't the energy that is recognizing that conflict from the past and trying to like run back towards it, right? This is the energy that kind of recognizes that when there's that harmony that you create with another, suddenly all the conflict from the past gains a heightened sense of clarity. So even now we see that that is the energy that, you know, even through, I want to say even through some of that struggle, because this is almost energy that's coming into divine union, and they're almost saying to themselves, if I'm coming into divine union, why does this hurt so much? Why are these old wounds opening up? Because this is the energy that's feeling and finally recognizing that they're in a space that they can heal them. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, a lot of that work that we effectively see that is occurring right now is the energy and how the energy is navigating conflict. Because if this is energy that was just starting to create a connection with someone, and just the ability to articulate on what something was going to be started creating a conflict point, this is the energy that, again, is taking something at face value. This isn't the energy that is looking and saying, wow, that person's not telling me what they want. I must be doing something wrong. What am I doing wrong? What can I change? This is the energy that is not internalizing the external problem. This is the energy saying, that person obviously is conflicted about their ability to articulate on a manifestation goal. That's weird, right? Because once you stop over internalizing it, it doesn't feel confusing. It just feels weird. It just feels weird because you're like, they're obviously going through something. There's obviously something there. I don't know what that is because they're making something overly complicated. But this is the energy that, again, the ability to see something and say, that person's not articulating a manifestation goal. Why are they overly complicating something? I'm just going to avoid the overcomplication. That's the energy that just like, again, the ability to navigate around a conflict point instead of going into it is the transformation that's happening for a lot of the energy that's in separation. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Seven of Cups in combination with our Three of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Pentacles in its upright. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, a little bit different depending right now on masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For the feminine energy, this is a lot of that anchoring that the Capricorn full moon is kind of bringing forth. It feels like that grounded energy. It feels like being very grounded in the self, very focused on the present. This is a lot of this, like I'm getting here, like tangible mind-body connection that's happening right now for a lot of the feminine, because this is the feminine that is feeling the stability point. Because if this is the feminine energy that is holding and prioritizing their manifestation goal, as it were, then this is the energy that is effectively recognizing and holding that as the optics through which they are viewing the new possible connections that they're trying to create. This is the energy that, again, it makes it easier because the energy is not just looking for something outside of the self to like fill that energetic void. This is the energy that knows what it is that they want. They're holding the manifestation goal as their point of comparison to be able to look towards those around them and saying, do they share the same priorities? Do they share the same manifestation goals? They're almost looking to like, they're like looking back and forth between them and potential counterparts to see if there are similarities in terms of what they hold important or valuable. And one of those is the clarity of what one is hoping to create. While for masculine energy, this is that same energetic equivalent, because if this is masculine energy that is effectively working through those situations and circumstances, and this is masculine energy that has decided that they want to build with a feminine and not just build around a feminine, this is the masculine that is looking for the feminine, that is grounded within the self, that is able to articulate what it is that they aspire and desire. So do you see how close these energies are to touching now? Do you see how these energies are starting to move back towards one another again? So we see like a lot of new energetic connections that may be forming at this time. A lot of new tendrils in terms of the new possible connections here. But they're based on what is tangible and being able to recognize that tangibility point. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that is feeling that weight. It's like that weight of the reality of what is occurring that is starting to result or evolve with these energies that are starting to that are continuing to build towards one another. Because again, if this is energy that does not have to struggle, that does not have to spend all of their time, effort, and energy wondering or worrying about what is occurring between them and a counterpart, gives you a lot of bandwidth. It just gives you a lot of bandwidth to get to do other things. Like this is the energy that's just like, has that, it's like almost like, I want to say like this embarrassment of time or energy, because it doesn't require the energy to be in constant struggle trying to understand what is occurring, because it's just that sense of knowing and feeling the groundedness of what is. So we see even now for feminine, that is that moment that suddenly a connection feels like it's real, because the gift that is being given is the reality that is being brought forth, and being able to articulate and amplify what it is that you truly have with someone. And that is not only creating that like surfeit, like that robustness of possibilities and what you can do with one another, because like, again, it just leaves all of that bandwidth of possibility, but it also is creating a lot of clarity in the process, both for masculine and feminine. And we see even now that these energies, they appreciate that in one another. Masculine feeling a lot of that stability potentially in even the feminine's own ability to express their experiences in such a way. That's almost that moment that the masculine is feeling like that stability that the feminine is bringing forth into their life in that context. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. While for feminine, this is feeling the relief of having an energetic partnership that allows them that possibility. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within the divine union frequency, this is the energetic equivalent of the reassessing of circumstances in relationality to what is being brought forth. Because if these are circumstances or situations where stating or articulating a manifestation goal to those outside the divine union frequency, like this is why, regardless of, this is the energy that doesn't have to say, like I'm telling you, it's not that they're doing so for the state of reactivity. This is energy that does so because, again, they're like when you move towards a manifestation goal that is true, you effectively abandon the energetic outcome, because this is the energy that's almost saying to those around them, like it's not telling someone what one is planning on doing. It's almost like telling someone what is, right? And so if that creates something that creates like some point of volatility, it's like that ability of seeing something and being like, well, it still is that. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like it, like that's why the energy is non-reactive, because it's almost like whatever the reactivity point is, it doesn't actually matter. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between the Seven of Cups in combination with our Six of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with this Four of Cups in its reversal. So masculine and feminine energy that is deep within the divine union frequency. You know, this is why even in these modalities right now, you know, it feels like that reamplification of choice. There's a lot of choices. There's a lot of choices I see that are occurring right now for across all of the frequencies. But what's beautiful about that energetic choice, as it were, is it feels like a reaffirmation. You know what I mean? It feels like that. It feels like that sense, I want to say, of energetic confidence that's coming through, as it were. Because this is the energy within the divine union that is like it's not I have to say, it's not sugarcoating something. It's not trying to sugarcoat something. It's accepting that, you know, even in that ability of moving forward to a certain degree, there's always going to be a little bit of that feeling of energetic surrender. There's always going to be a little bit of that feeling of grief. There's always going to be that moment of letting something go. But what's beautiful about this energy is this is an energy that's getting caught in analysis paralysis, right? This isn't energy that is like, you know, like stopping or holding back on their manifestation goal because of something that's happening around them. This is the energy that's almost articulating and reaffirming their commitment in that direction, because that's the energy that's almost saying, again, come what may, right? That's the energy that's like the commitment that they have towards one another is built upon the sense of saying, come what may. Like that is the commitment, right? So we see even now, like that is the energy that even in those moments, even when there's that point that feels like it's a little less positive, this is the energy that grows stronger in that bond, because this is the bond that doesn't break, because this is the bond that doesn't separate. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is that feeling that the energy is starting to have about the true tangibility. This is energy that's really recognizing that something important is taking shape between them, right? Because this is the energy that recognizes that even in this modality, they haven't let anything go. They're taking everything with them as they go, right? This is a lot of the energy that feels like they're experiencing a breakthrough to such an extent that they're almost like recognizing, like they're almost feeling that point of this being a choice that feels like it's different than past choices, specifically because this is the energy that feels like the connection that they're building with someone is all encompassing. It doesn't require them to change. The change that they desire and aspire is happening within them because of the counterpart and because it is an energetic connection that doesn't require them to change. It inspires them to become their best version of self, right? And so even for a lot of this energy right now, feeling that difference, not moving towards something in a space of feeling that lack, but instead feeling that amplification of rightness. If this is energy that is affirmed, and again, built into that sense of trust and being able to articulate and give each other clarity, giving each other that true gift at the onset, this is the energy that feels like that change has already arrived. And that's not something that you can walk out of. That's not something you can back out of. This is the energy that says, even now, this has changed me in a profound way. I can never go back to that past version of self, because how could I experience this and ever not desire it again? While for masculine and feminine energy in separation, this is the energy in separation that is like amplifying the prioritization of choice. This is a lot of energy in separation, recognizing that some people, like energy, like a lot of energy, like gets caught in the same rut, gets caught in the same groove, because they don't want to let go of their choices. And when we don't let go of our choices, often we end up with no choices. You know, if you wander around the mall not wanting to do anything, like that's all you ever do. And so this is the energy that just kind of, and that's why we see even now, like a lot of the energy is just kind of like, this is why we see there's so much, I want to say like almost impatience, like divine impatience that is effectively coming towards a lot of the energy that's moving with this level or degree of certainty. Because this is the energy that like sees energy that's wishy-washy, and they almost say that's an energy that's too frightened to commit to something. That's an energy that's too worried, that's too choosy, they're so concerned. They think that like and this is the energy in separation, recognizing that some energy will prioritize keeping their options open. And so when you have a manifestation goal, the idea that someone is literally saying that their manifestation goal is to keep their options open, like even here, it feels small. It just feels like it doesn't feel so much like if it creates, I want to say, if it creates the muddiness, right? If that muddiness is something that is being created, like it's not even coming from a point of clarity. This is why the energy is almost looking at this from a point of relief, because this is the energy that's almost saying in separation, I don't want to be jammed up. I don't want to be jammed up. I don't want to be jammed up with someone else's vagueness that articulates a fear of either a fear of expressing a manifestation goal, or a feeling of having a manifestation goal you don't feel you have the ability to share with others. Either version is not great, so continuing to get clarification. So it's like the pathwork, it's like this is the pathwork of integrity that is rising up right now for a lot of the energy in separation. But why? Because this is energy that has the integrity. Because by articulating the manifestation goal, the first thing that you're saying to someone is, I am someone who has integrity. I'm going to tell you my words, and I'm going to match them with my actions. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Six of Swords in its upright and our World card. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Wheel of Fortune in its upright. I love these cards today. This is good. Let's glue them down. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. This is why even now, the feeling of the change that is arising for a lot of the energy in separation has to do with the easement of departure from situations that don't feel like they're in alignment to you. A lot of this energy is almost saying, wow, past version of me would have been like, driving myself nuts about this. I would have been agonizing over this. I would have been asking the self if this was the right decision. I would have been asking myself what I could do to change how someone's treating me or behaving. This is the energy that's saying I'm not internalizing an external problem. If someone is not giving me what I desire them to give me, maybe that's not the person for me. If somebody is not treating me the way that they should be treating me, maybe that's not the person. That's probably not my person. So that's a lot of the energy, that feeling, that lightness, like the feeling of the change is the change within, because it is the prioritization of the self. But I don't mean prioritization from the point of saying that it is selfish. Something is only selfish if you desire it for the self in a way that you wouldn't desire it for another. This is energy that's literally looking for energy that feels the same way. So this is the energy that's almost saying the gift that I found within myself, I want to see and aspire in another person. And that's not the energy saying you have to treat me better than you treat yourself. This is the energy saying, I want you to treat me as well as I treat me, because I'm going to treat you as well as I treat me. And I think that that's pretty great. Like, that's the energy. Like, as long as the energy's in that modality, that is that energy that's like, again, it feels like that act of generosity, because it's not saying, it's not like, and again, if that's energy, if somebody looks at you and says like, you want too much, well, that's the energy saying, well, then you must want less than me. Because that's the energy that says, like, if someone says you want too much, or like they're basically saying, then you want less than me. That's okay. Like, that you don't try to change that, you just calibrate for it. So we see even now a lot of that energy. I mean, again, a lot of this feeling is that almost that feeling of like that desire to like give love forward is a lot of this energy and separation. It almost feels like that sense of like sharing joy with those around them. And so we see even now the sadness here is almost like recognizing the past version of self that you're letting go of in the process, you know? While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is a lot of that. There's a lot of expansion that's happening right now for the energy coming into divine union. Because if these are spaces and places wherein you had those moments of similarity and you've recognized the easement that occurs and being able to build in a point of clarity with one another, what's happening in there? It's expanding. It's expanding. Because that easement, why would you choose anything that wasn't energetically easy? Like, that's almost the energy that feels like they're coming into deeper alignment by that ability, not only, and then being amplified by suddenly the perception of the past, being able to view the present context as a point of comparison for what was not that in the past. Even there, that healing is starting to expand more. And if this energy has an ability to articulate the grief of the past without someone taking it energetically personally, but almost holding space for one another on the way and reaffirming one's own commitment in doing so, in staying in the present context. That space between these energies is just growing and growing. And any sadness here is recognizing and saying, I've already changed. It's already happened. Something here, it doesn't really matter where something goes. It's already occurred. It's almost like that moment of looking and saying, I can't ever go back. Because even this energy is now like, now that I've experienced this, it's given me all the clarity I need on what's in the past. So that's why we see even now it feels like deepened clarity. While for the energy right now, within the divine union, deep within the divine union, this is that feeling of, again, anything that feels like it's departing the divine union at a point of joy. This isn't chasing after it. This is just that hope that with time, something will return. Someone will return. Because that's that moment. It's almost like the divine union of frequency is kind of saying the door is always open so long as you come towards it with that same level and measure of joy. So we see even now like a lot of that navigating that doesn't force your joy onto another. You can't do that. But there's always that hope that that is something that could change in the future. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our World card and our Five of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Five of Swords. You know, it's amazing because we see so many of these beautiful cards of completion, but there's a little bit of that past energy here. There's a little bit of that, you know, but the important thing about this that we're seeing is that it's all about the ratio, right? Because for masculine and feminine energy, you know, even here I have to stress, if there's that conflict energy here around a situation or circumstance wherein you're bringing or delivering something from a point of joy to someone and they're not receiving it as such, you know, one of the things that's so hard about that is recognizing that when someone experiences a point of conflict, it almost feels like that need or desire to be prioritized, right? Like it's almost that need or desire to want to have that volatility or want to have that reactivity, right? So we see even now, like for some of that energy, like that is almost the energy within the divine union, recognizing that anything, like anyone that's like around the energy of the union that feels like they're coming into that point of volatility, it has a lot to do with the energy nursing a wound of not being a priority, right? And again, that is something that may be experienced or expressed, but also is like, again, a lot of the point, like what do we talk about? Like we talked about that ability of recognizing that when we take something energetically personally, we're viewing it only from the context of the self. So it's almost interesting right now I see a lot of the energy within the divine union, seeing someone take something personally, and then by extension, they take something personally. If this makes sense, just hold on. I know that sounds a little confusing, but let me explain it. Because that's the energetic equivalent of feeling like you're giving something to someone as a gift, but then they're only seeing it from the optics of the self. And then what's happening for the energy in the divine union, seeing someone energetically that's taking something that should be a point of joy and making it all about their emotionality, that's the energy that then takes it personally, because it does feel wounding, right? Do you understand that? Because it's like that moment that you're like, you don't, and that's hard because you don't want to match them in that vibration, but it still hurts to a certain extent. So we almost see there that there's a little bit of that there that needs to be navigated for some of the, which is almost like why the energy in a way is like, no, let them go. You know, like it's like, because that's a moment that someone's like, I need a little bit of distance too. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep, that is coming into the divine union frequency, and they're supporting, like the energy within divine union supporting each other in that journey. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is that same energetic frequency, right? Because if there's that moment here, right, I gotta say this, if there was some energy right now coming into divine union, and there was some open-ended conflicts that were occurring around past individuals or past counterparts, and suddenly you're coming into this like flourishing in this present connection, this is the energy that almost feels like that sense of saying, I can never go back there. Because now it feels like all that is conflict. That's almost like the energy that like hoped to have a breakthrough with someone that was creating nothing but conflict. But in the moment that one just has that beautiful blossoming with someone wherein there is no conflict, well, that's the energy saying, I can't, like that is now the energy saying that is the closure of that story. That isn't a beautiful story of conflict that was going to come into resolution. This is the energy. It's like there was no happy ending there. It was all just the conflict, right? So we see even there, like that's why there's that grief, because sometimes the recognition that a story that we've built with another comes to like a crashing halt at a moment of such disruption, it can feel very energetically painful. It's almost like it opens a wound because suddenly we have to grieve all over again, because this isn't the energy that's looking at a past experience and saying, well, I hope someday there's a happy ending to it. This is the energy that says, I found my happiness and joy in the present context. That's just a terribly sad story. That's just a painful story. Now I got this terrible story and I got to carry around with me everywhere. It's not romantic. It just stinks. Like, so we see even now, like a lot of that energy is navigating do you understand? This is why when we come into union, it can feel so painful, because as we come into divine union frequency, the book closes on what may have felt like it was an open book, and the hope of what one hoped could create a better resolution is not there. The resolution is coming in the beautiful story that you're taking, that's being created in the present, but you're still carrying that painful book with you now. You've got that painful book. And so we see even now like a lot of the energy like kind of having to renegotiate or renavigate how they're carrying that, because they can see the fact that something there has drawn to a close, but in a way that feels like it's almost re-triggering at the moment that a new beginning emerges. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, a lot of that energy that is in separation is working through circumstances or situations where, again, they're looking back at the past. But what's beautiful about the past here is the energy is getting closure, because if this is energy that started to build forth with a new energetic connection, and they started experiencing the same static that they were receiving in a past connection, but instead of sticking around for the static, the energy's like, nope, this is not my channel. Like, and just walking away from it, like diverting it, going around it. This is the energy that goes, oh my God, I've had a breakthrough. It's me. I'm making different choices. I'm holding my manifestation goal. And this is the energy saying, I'm recognizing that I'm moving towards my manifestation because I'm not moving in the same way I used to move, because I've got new priorities. The manifestation has taken hold within. It's like, oh no, it's here. It's here. Like, that's the energy being like, oh, it changed me. The manifestation, I wanted it to change around me, but instead it had to change me. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Pentacles in its upright in combination with our Four of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Cups in its upright. So this is the energy, and I have to say, for a lot of the energy in separation, I think that this is really, I think it's really grounding. This feels like a very grounding sensation, because there's a lot of this energy right now that if you're recognizing those changes that are happening within you, like a lot of that feeling, it feels, again, it almost feels like the manifestation that's coming, like, even again, this is what we talk about abandoning the outcome. This is the energy saying my manifestation's already here, because I see that the manifestation in itself has changed me. It's changing the way I behave. It's changing the way I move. So this is the energy that is, again, like feeling that sense of accomplishment, because it's almost the ability to observe that you're making different choices that feels like you're working in harmony with the universe, because it's, again, you're not just saying to the universe, like, hey, get me this, and then just waiting for it. You feel like you're becoming an instrument. I'm working with the universe to be able to achieve that manifestation. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, a lot of that work that we're effectively seeing right now, again, coming into divine union, a lot of this energy right now is feeling a little bit, I want to say a little bit of that energetic surprise, right? This is a little bit more of that same surprise energy, because again, some of this energy may even be having those moments of being like, it's like that realization of looking at someone, because again, these are not connections that are being built upon infatuation, right? Infatuation, that desire or that ability of, again, holding on to something and hoping that something is going to be there that isn't. This is energy that saw the clarity of it. And that moment, this is like almost like, this is like the infatuation that grows, because this is energy that's like got that campfire energy, the thing that they're creating between themselves. It's growing, it's expanding. So we see even now, if these are if these are frequencies that the more they see, the more they like, the more they see, the more they like, the more they do, the easier it gets, and they're building into that. This is energy that feels like that is the solid foundation that they're creating, and it's just expanding outwards because you're doing it together. And when you do something together, then suddenly things can start to move much more quickly. So even here, there's a lot of energy right now that may be coming into divine union, and it may be that feeling of something that is progressing very rapidly, but not even potentially in the tangible state, but feeling that sense of connection that's just growing and growing here, because this is the energy that if everything they do, they feel that sense of trusting another's judgment, then this is like that. This is that trust. This is like that sense of building trust, right? And building compassion and building love that feels like, again, it's And when I say it's easy, I don't mean it's easy. It's recognizing how easy it is with energy that is committed to making it that easy, right? Like this is that feeling of energetic alignment, right? It feels effortless to a certain degree because these energies are, again, they've done the work within the self to minimize the effort on the part of the other. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within the divine union frequency, this is why even now, if there's energy that around the divine union, and the divine union energy is trying to bring manifestations to the surface, and energy is taking it personally, the energy is kind of like if something wasn't done personally and someone's taking something personally, there's only so much you can do, right? You know what I mean? Like there's only, like, that's the energy saying, like, it's a little bit of that like shrug, because there's that moment of saying it's not the nature by which something was brought forth. If somebody's coming into a reactivity space and it wasn't the desired, like, it wasn't even it wasn't even on the realm of it's so beyond the realm of possibilities. That's almost the energy in the divine union going, if you're not moving for someone else's okay, I'll put it this way: if you're not doing something for someone else's benefit because you've abandoned, and someone takes it personally, it's, you know, I understand, it's like a paradox. There's nothing you can do in that modality until someone is ready to recognize and acknowledge that is occurring. So we see even now, like, a lot of the energies kind of like, hopefully with time something there might heal, but they also feel like, again, it's a little bit out of their hands, because if that is the volatility point, like the person, like if the situation is one that creates a volatility point in someone, then you're like, I can't be the person to fix that, because that's clearly, like, I can't get, like, that is like that, like, you don't understand, like, that's the source. So we see even now, like, this is the energy that's like, they can't extricate themselves from the divine union to fix something. But that's like the whole, like this is where some of this, like, energy could be navigating from, like the fact that something energetically exists, right? So there's a little bit of that shrug energy and making peace with it. Like, a lot of it's just kind of making peace with it. Here's Scott. Continuing to get clarity right now between our Four of Cups in its reversal and our Wheel of Fortune. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Seven of Pentacles in its upright. So again, I'm not surprised to see this right now, because, like, again, what are we seeing that the energy within the divine union is affirming to themselves? Like, again, if there's that moment of someone making a determinative action, or potentially even moving further away from the divine union at the time that divine union is trying to bring something forth as a point of celebration, this is almost the energy that's almost like holding one another, saying, like, just allow them to depart. Give them some space. Give it some time. Because that is the energy of compassion, right? That's almost like the energy of compassion that's trying to, like, articulate and amplify that ability of someone to be able to return to a certain extent. But again, almost like maintaining the vibration to help them recognize and understand that that's almost the energy that, like, again, is not like taking it personally, because that would almost further amplify the energetic disruption point, right? Like, that's like taking something and saying, you know, if you don't make a big deal out of it, then it won't be a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost that type of energy. Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we see is occurring right now has to do with that sense. Again, this is why even now the energy is healing, but there's something about that in the sense of being able to take time to do so, because this is the energy that, like, recognizes that what they're creating with another right now, it's got roots, it's real, it's tangible, it's growing. You know, and this is some of that inevitability that we see is occurring right now. Because what we're effectively seeing at this time is a lot of that energetic experience. If these are energies that are in those new in those new energetic connections, and they just feel that amplification. They feel that easement point. They feel that security. They feel like that stability. This is the energy that feels like they're very mindful about what they're cultivating and creating together between them. And it almost feels like, again, that sense of like, I want to say like that sense of prioritization, that sense of really trying to create something and recognizing and appreciating someone who puts the same effort and time and energy and attention in what they're growing with you. Again, not energy that's just trying to get to a means to an end, but energy that's really savoring and appreciating the experiences and the process of just growing with someone. And that in itself, like that's why a lot of this energy coming into divine union feels like that is almost like the reaffirmation of their choice at this time. Because this is the energy that's almost looking back and saying, feeling that difference is almost like feeling something and really recognizing like the depth and gravity of it that's making it feel not only real, but it feels like it's almost expediting that process. Because it doesn't feel like something that you're hoping or waiting to change, right? You already feel like it's there. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, this is the energy that is committed towards their manifestation goal. And this is the energy that is just saying, if I continue to stay focused on my manifestation goal, and I insist and say, I will only choose what it is I'm trying to manifest. This is the energy that says it's only a matter of time. And as long as I stay tenacious on that, this is the energy that says it's not if, it's when. It's not if, it's when. Because how could it not be? Because I'm willing it to be so. This is the energy that's basically saying, I'm willing it so. But when we say I'm willing it so, we don't just say, I'm willing it so. Like I'm not willing a pizza to show up right now, right? We say I will it so because we say I change what I do so that I only accept that possibility. I only accept that outcome. So the ability to say, I will it so, is when we say, I move myself in such a way that only that will be accepted. So how else could it be that if it's not that? Because I am willing it so. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Wheel of Fortune in combination with our Five of Swords. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Death card. So there it is again. We got all these cards from yesterday, just show them back up. So there's that transformation energy, but that's hard, right? I know you don't like hearing that. Wait, I got to actually will it. I got to actually do. Yeah, you got to do it. 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 You got to change something. Yeah, that's how it works. You know, like you got to let go of, you got to, you know, if you got to, you know, but you have to, you know, if you want what you desire, you have to sacrifice what you do that doesn't bring that forth. So this is the energy that is recognizing and identifying those changes within the self that are necessary in order to facilitate getting to what one aspires to have. So we see even now, like a lot of that energy is looking at that in a different way. This isn't energy that's finding a potential counterpart and going, well, that they're not perfect, but I can change them. I can turn them into someone else. It's gonna be great. Like this is the energy that's saying, if I want the things that I aspire, I need to change myself in the process. And if I need to make sure that I'm moving towards the energy that wants what I want. And I have to be willing to move away from the energy that doesn't want what I want. Because that is the energy that's effectively in separation, that's saying, I am allowing that transformation to occur. But the transformation begins within me. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union, this transformation is already happening. You're like, oh no, I can't go back. This is the energy going, oh wow, this is the energy that's feeling that transformation energy, like in the moment that it's occurring. Like this is the energy that feels that shift happening. And even now, the reason that they're feeling that shift is because, again, if you're looking at a situation, if you're building forward with someone and you're looking back and going, I can never go back there. Like that is almost that energetic equivalent of, again, it can feel pain, it feels painful, but also joyous, right? Because that's that moment that you're looking at the past and you're saying that is the past. That's not an expectation or a hope of something returning. This is that moment of closure. And so we see even now, this is a lot of the energy that's coming into divine union, that's moving very quickly into the heart of the divine union. Because, like, again, that feeling of that change occurring, like, that's almost that moment we say, like, once I met that person, everything changed. That's because we feel like that's that moment we feel that's like the articulation point and saying and recognizing and saying, this is different than something I experienced before. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union frequency, this is recognizing, like, and feeling the changes that are occurring around you, even as you continue forward in the heart of that frequency. Because we see even now that for a lot of the energy in that modality, that is something that is being perceived, like you're making changes, and you're seeing that you're seeing how the things around you are changing in kind. But again, that's almost the energy that, again, is accepting to a certain extent that that's part and parcel for the path work of going forward, right? Like that mindfulness, that navigating point, a lot of it feels like a point of reaffirmation, because a lot of that energy, it's the change isn't disrupting their path work. It's just reaffirming their own energetic commitment to one another, come what may. Continuing to get clarification between our 9 of Cups in combination with our 7 of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify. Clarification with the Fool card. So we see, I'm telling you right now, a lot of this energy, this is a lot of this like away we go kind of energy for the energy within the divine union frequency, right? Because a lot of that energy, even in the face of anything that feels like it's energetically disruptive, they're staying they're very focused on their priorities. Like the energy within the divine union is like even in the face of anything that's changing around them, they're just continuing to stay focused in relationality to what they're growing energetically together. And a little of that, I have to say, a bit of that, it's, how do I best explain this? It's having that sense of excitement. It's having that vibration of joy. It's not a moment of letting anxiety overwhelm, but rather looking at something with a sense of energetic excitement. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy in that modality, even experiencing something that feels disheartening, like it feels to it in a certain way, it's not, this is the energy that's staying committed in terms of like, recognizing that even in those moments of frustration, like as long as one's intentions continue to be such that you move forward, this is the energy that really feels like they're opening new chapters. They're starting new journeys, because a lot of this work that we see here right now has to do with that sense of like the possibilities that are opening, but also in a way that, like, again, this is that hope that the energy within the divine union bring to one another, because it's almost like the gift that they give to one another is being able to navigate those in such a way that it feels like it, amplifies the feeling of adventure. It amplifies the feeling of excitement. It creates that sense of joy and positivity and abundance, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is that energy that really, like, I just got to say that I see a lot of energy here moving very quickly deep into the heart of the divine union frequency, because it's this feeling, like it's almost this feeling of rightness, that everything is right there. Everything is easy. Everything is growing. Everything feels like it's positive. So it's like, this is a little bit of that inevitability that's happening here, because even if there's anxiety, It's the anxiety that feels like it's excitement because it's one that's being built on that energy of having that point of excitement and doing everything together, right? And we just see that that's almost like that continual expansion point. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation, this is that feeling of positivity that a lot of energy is experiencing right now that is leading them forward. It's almost like it's spurring them on, if you will, to make those new energetic connections. Because this is almost the energy that sees and recognizes the changes that they recognize within themselves, that's creating that sense of excitement in terms of going and finding what they're looking for. Because they're not trying to change the energy that they find into that, but rather they're trying to seek out the one that feels like they're in alignment too. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Seven of Pentacles in its upright and our Death card. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Eight of Swords in its upright. And this is what I'm seeing, and we saw a little bit about this yesterday as well. We saw a little bit of this energy yesterday, and this has to do with, for the energy and separation, with any of these, like, if these are energies in separation that are moving away from someone because of an inability to articulate a manifestation goal, this is still why we see some of this conflict energy here. Because again, if this is energy that feels like they're trying to move away from something, or an individual, and someone's trying to hold on to them, even at that moment, you know, it doesn't feel so much like the energy of someone that wants to build with someone, so much as it feels, and again, this is why this can be a little triggering for energy and separation at this degree of healing. It feels more like someone that is trying to keep someone stuck, that's trying to keep someone in a place of obfuscation, that's not so much trying to change so much as someone trying to amplify a desire to maintain the status quo. That is like, again, when we feel like we are in a scenario where we don't know what to expect, and we don't know what it is, and we don't know what is, like, when we're not clear on what it is that occurs between us, it doesn't feel like a satisfying relationship. It feels like a relationship that's built off of obfuscation because it doesn't allow that level or degree of clarity to occur. So you can see even now, if that's occurring, having to like articulate to someone how inviolable that is. A lot of that here, like, this is where I can see that there might be a little bit of some triggering conversations here, because again, it could almost be someone feeling a feeling of like frustration towards the perception that someone is trying to do so to someone, right? Because again, it feels like, it's like I can almost see energy and separation going, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. But it becomes harder and harder if there's that continual resistance in appreciating like what someone says that they desire versus how it is being received, right? Because again, we saw a lot of the energy recognizing the difference over the last few days between a manifestation goal that is given at the onset that feels like a celebration or feels like something that is being freely given versus something that is given at a point of closure, which feels like something conciliatory, feels like something being surrendered, right? Like, and that's almost the energy that's almost trying to amplify to someone and say, I don't want to feel like that's something that you're giving me out of duress, because it articulates some kind of feeling of you not doing so. It's like you're already articulating the fact that you're not experiencing that from a point of joy, that your perception of this is something that you're feeling forced to do. And this is the energy that says, I don't want you to feel forced to follow my manifestation goals. I want you to feel the joy of desiring those things. And this is the energy that's almost saying, like, you can't change that. You just need to observe if it's there. And if someone's trying to say, I'll change, you're like, you can't change that. if you saying you'll change is the amplification point on why it can't change. Because if you're saying that that's something that you'll change for someone, you're already articulating the fact that you're not in that vibration. So again, this could be some frustrating conversations in this way. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union, a lot of this frequency that we're effectively seeing here has a lot to do effectively with looking at the past with these new optics. If these are circumstances and situations wherein you're experiencing that growth, you're experiencing that giving, you're having that openness, you're building into that point of clarity, you may be having a lot of these echo effects and remembering the spaces and places where things felt similar but completely different, right? It's like the minute you feel the harmony, it's like immediately gives you a flashback to the disharmony, right? The minute you feel the positive, it's like, whoa, there comes that rough memory all over again. So we see even now a lot of that transformation is happening because, again, it's like almost like the energy is having that point of recollection, but it's not coming through fondly. It's not coming through from a point of nostalgia. It's almost like feeling like you're waking up from a dream and being like, whoa, that was bad. You know, it's like that kind of energy, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within the divine union, this is why if there's something around the divine union, if the energy around the divine union doesn't feel that sense of joy or harmony in something that they're trying to grow, this is why the energy is not chasing after it. Because this is the energy that says, I don't want you to make you feel forced to be a part of something if it creates that sense of pain. But there's always that hope. It's almost like the energy says, I hope one day that might not necessarily be the case. But this is the energy that says, like, it's like almost wishing someone well and appreciating and respecting someone's point of view, but also like kind of giving them that distance, right? Final card for today's spread between our Fool card in combination with our Eight of Swords. One card to clarify, please. So many communication cards here. Two of Wands. Masculine and feminine energy within the divine union. You know, what's really lovely about this to a certain extent is the energy that, you know, is, I want to say, like, this is a lot of this energy in a point of planning and communication. And again, I see a little bit of that, like, I want to say it feels a little bit like a conciliatory nature to some circumstances or situations. Like almost the energy in divine union, looking at some energy and being like, I'm sorry you feel like that. But it's like, and again, we sometimes have these moments, right? And this is like, this can be very difficult because this isn't energy saying, no, it's not right that you feel like that. But having that sense of energetic compassion and saying to someone like, I'm sorry you feel like that, but it can't necessarily change anything. You know, it feels a little bit like that. Like, again, it feels like a lot of those words that are they're trying to build bridges to a certain extent. But from a state or space of like, you know, and I can see even now a lot of the energy within divine union having that moment of feeling the point of frustration and saying like, if that's occurring, being like, there's not much I can do beyond express that something wasn't one's intention, right? And sometimes we see even now, like, that's almost that, like, it can feel very hard when you have those moments because there's only so much you can do, right? While for masculine, but we see here that like a lot of that work in terms of conciliation is trying to like come through conciliatorially to try to like allow for that point of energetic healing. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, This is the energy that's building into a new connection to such an extent, and there's so much clarity and there's so much communication that it's just shining a light on anything that came before that did not allow for that same freedom of energetic expression. And that's why this could hurt at the same time that you're receiving it, because again, it almost like the receiving of the gift there, like suddenly brings something else into harsh clarity. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is the energy that again may be having to negotiate or navigate conversations right now, especially if they're moving away from something that just started to take form or take shape. And again, only now is someone trying to like bring forward changes. This is why it can feel so frustrating, because this is the energy that recognizes the difference between how someone intuitively moves, right, versus what is outside of their own power to observe. And this could be a lot of energy that's trying to say to someone, like, I think that what you're asking for is outside of your own power to change. Because if this is something that you're trying to articulate to someone that they do, but it's hard because it's like they're not aware that they do it, sometimes you can hit that impossibility point because it's like you're trying so hard to show someone something, but they're like, it's almost like they're a bit blind to see it, right? Sometimes we're too close to our own, trees. You know, like sometimes we can't see our own forest through our trees. So we see even now, like a lot of that energy may be feeling like they're trying to navigate a situation, but trying to do so delicately because you don't want to like tell someone who they are or what they're like. You kind of want someone to be self-aware enough to recognize things about themselves. And so there could be a lot of conversations here about, I'm seeing energy and separation, navigating difficult conversations on self-awareness. So make sure you're doing so with like a level or measure of grace, right? Like don't do that in an accusatory way. Almost do it in a way of saying, like, I'm telling you this, not in a way to hurt, but hopefully for something for you to observe. You know, bottom of the deck on this reading, I love it. We've got our Ace of Cups. I'm going to say it again, and this is what's so hard about this. So like our Spirit's first directive to us in all things is taking care of our own self, is of the highest priority. And I need to say this again. That is not selfish. So long as we operate under the context that the way that we choose to care for ourselves is what we would wish for all those around us. Okay? So if you're feeling any of that energetic, like, frustration point right now, I want you to help mitigate it by remembering and recognizing that desire to, be in a good place within oneself is not selfish, so long as it's not something that feels like it is exceptional, right? Like that's how we navigate that. And that's why I see even now, like these conversations of self-awareness may have something to do with some of this cups energy at the bottom of the deck. Because I feel like even now, there might be a little bit of like, especially I'm seeing even now for some of the energy in separation and also the energy within the divine union frequency, that ability to try to articulate to someone that what's best for the self must be navigated and mitigated with compassion and discernment. Those can be very difficult conversations, right? Because I see even now that, it could almost feel like someone that's like, this could be saying to me that someone who's like moving towards someone, especially if there's that, like, I want to say like that over personal, like someone taking something, I'm getting here, someone taking something too personally, that sometimes like almost again requires that moment of trying to articulate to someone like that in itself, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think, you guys know what I'm talking about here. That ability of discernment in terms of what is best needs to be mitigated in terms of what is best, not just for the self, but for those around. Like that ability of trying to share that compassionate energy. And so I think that coming into that and being mindful of that, like these say to me, there's like a lot of delicacy that is required around some of this energy. So think a lot about, I want to point this out. think a lot about in the conversations you have today. When you say something, ask yourself like how you yourself would like to receive something. Like that might be a good way to navigate anything that feels like it's a hard conversation. Because I see even now, like a lot of this work, you know, it almost feels like, again, it's like that heightened sensitivity still there across to a certain extent. So it's like I could see that. It's like I told you, a lot of that energy of being able to take something personally, like the way it's like the way everybody stops taking something personally is someone starts thinking compassionately. So don't take things personally. Think about taking things compassionately, right? And I think that's going to help. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here to receive it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple updates for you today. If you missed our class last week, thank you to everybody who joined it. I had an amazing time teaching about the High Priestess. Our next class will be held Wednesday, July 17th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. And that class will be focusing on the Empress card. If you would like to become a part of our live class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your subscription will grant you access to the live classes as well as have access to the course materials and recordings for all of the previous classes. So you've got a full month to catch up if you're just joining us. So far, our classes have focused on the Fool card, the Magician, and the High Priestess. We're going to do the Empress next. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in terms of any of our studies. And also, if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only do you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive a mentorship reading with me, wherein we will assess where you are on your own particular tarot journey, and I'll give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. Also, even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offers or giveaways that we may be doing. I also post my full live schedule there for the week in my newsletter. Speaking of giveaways, we are doing a giveaway presently. I'm giving away a free tarot reading. If you'd like to become a part of that giveaway, head over to the link tree in my bio. There's a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that survey will grant you an entry, but if you'd like to increase your chances of winning, forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner, I'm going to be giving a free tarot reading, not just to the winner, but to whoever referred them. So thank you so much if you've already taken the survey, and I wish you the best of luck in winning. Finally, I'm very happy to offer some additional services on top of my life path readings. I'm now offering mentorship classes for my students, for those who are interested in pursuing a course of study with me. Those are built specifically for whatever interest that you yourself are interested in learning more about. I take a very limited amount of students for that very reason. Those can be purchased on an individual class level or by a monthly class package. That is 4 45-minute classes, 1 per week, each for the whole month. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent tarot support, I'm very happy to now be offering weekly tarot insight packages, which is a package of 4 30-minute readings, 1 per week, so that you can stay more consistent on staying up to date on your own life path journey. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day today. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. And we will do this again